Cloud.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so I'm going to call to order the PRCAC meeting for June 20th at 7 p.m. First, we need to do is adoption of the agenda. I need to make a amendment, which will be just a brief presentation from Lauren Nielsen regarding a project that we will be seeing soon from Whatcom County Planning, just so that we have an idea of what's coming forward. Do I have a second to make that agenda?
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Sorry.
All in favor to amend the agenda to add that item?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so we have approval of the May 2024 draft minutes.
Can I, excuse me, I hate to
Oh.
fall back.
Did you need to make an amendment to the agenda?
I did to make, wait a minute, English. Make an amendment to the agenda, and that is three things. One, just a note to the public, and as well as everyone else that's here, please note that the July Community Advisory Committee meeting is rescheduled to July 25th to accommodate the Point Roberts taxpayers general meeting. That's, just put that under correspondence. The other two things, we have been requested for new business to discuss enforcement of existing traffic laws, as well as international borders, rabies, microchips, and dogs.
Okay, I'll make a second to add those two items to new business.
Thank you so much.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. So the next would be the approval of the May 2024 draft minutes. Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
Anyone have any changes, edits, or amendments to those minutes? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve those minutes and have those sent to Whatcom County to be posted on the website.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. So now we are going to go to Lauren Nielsen, who is here with us, to let us know about a project that we will be seeing as the Point Roberts Community Advisory Committee must go through a checklist for commercial projects.
Perfect.
Lauren?
Thank you for having me. And we've been working on this project now for about a year with the county. And we've made our submittal for a conditional use permit. So I know that whole process is now started. So you guys will be receiving a packet from them explaining and showing everything that we've got planned. Our project is a campground RV park, and it's on the 50-acre parcel of property on the corner of Mill and Johnson Road. And so I'm here, I guess, for a couple of reasons. One, I just want to let you guys know what's going on so you can think about it and it doesn't come to you as a surprise, I guess, when the county does send it to you. But also to learn maybe a little bit about what you actually are looking for, so we can make sure, we do what we need to do in advance, so it's not doing kind of back and forth and whatever. So it's a campground RV park. Most of it's going to be a campground, kind of rustic campsites. There will be some RV sites which will have electrical and water hookup, no sewer hookup, just because of our septic restrictions and whatever, though we are planning to have a dump out station. So, people were staying there, they still have a place that they can actually dump their RV waste. The theme of the campground, because we're not on the water and we're kind of, our idea is people think of Point Roberts as the destination, not specifically a spot on the water or whatever. So our theme, because we're amongst the trees and we feel that a lot of these trees haven't been cut. So it's some of the oldest trees we believe in Point Roberts are on this property. Theme of the whole project is going to be around nature and the trees and whatever. So we're really going to try to keep, as many trees, especially all the old ones. We'll keep most of those. Campsites will all be amongst those trees. So, theme, trees, nature, Point Roberts. The buildings that we're going to have, and I think this is where you guys will probably come into play. The only buildings I think that you'll probably see from the road is going to be and the signage and whatever is the entrance coming in. And we're going to have an office, little camp store, so people could register. They can come and get camp supplies or whatever from that. So that building will obviously, I'm sure, need to be looked at. There will be a manager's residence on the property. In fact, sorry, I'll hand these out. This will give you kind of a.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is that everything? Thank you.
Jared, for cash, I will scan this and
I'll
send
give
it to
you
you.
a couple of extras. So.
Perfect. I can scan it and send to them.
Thank you.
So it's a 50-acre parcel of property, but we're going to be really focused on the area, the corner of Johnson Road and Mill Road. Oh, you know what? Let's see which one you're looking at. I see a couple of different ones here. Here, you take that one.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I have,
You have that one, yeah. That's
it's double-sided.
oh, okay, that's what's going on.
It's double-sided.
Okay, so there's an extra one of that,
Yeah.
and if you got, no, you only have the half one, so.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Prakash?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just quick clarification. Like when you say we, who's the we? Is that like just a private enterprise or is there?
It is a private enterprise. It's myself and I have a partner, Jason McDougall, who's been in Point Roberts for many years. He's got properties in Point Roberts, and
Okay.
so it's the
just
two of us.
understand. All right, thank you.
Now, so if you can see on your map, the entrance is going to be basically, I don't even know where.
Off Johnson?
Yeah, off Johnson at Windsor.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Sorry. And we'll be focusing on the east, that the Johnson Road and Mill Road area. The rest of the property we're planning just to keep, natural as it is. We'll have maybe a trail system throughout, so campers can have an opportunity to go through, the forest and that kind of thing. We will have, so the other buildings that we're going to have on the property, we're going to have 2 bathroom facilities, which will have showers and bathrooms. And then we're going to have a manager's residence, which will be a 1-bedroom, probably about 900 to 1,000 square foot residence. And we will be, so this property originally was slated to be a subdivision. It was part of where Windsor and Shady Glen, those roads would tie right into it. And then they connect actually over on Dogwood. So if you actually kind of Google Earth the property, you could see the delineation of where the roads that were actually cleared back in the 60s, maybe early 70s. You can see the different type of trees. And so we're going to be focusing our roads, for the campsites on those old existing cleared roads. That way we're not disturbing the old growth kind of trees that are on the property. What else? That's about it. We have to clear a few areas, and we're being very selective in where we're doing that to handle our septic system, and then also play areas in the field for kids and activities that campers, we expect campers would like to do. So in a nutshell, that's what we're doing. So I'm not sure, so what should I expect from you guys? You'll be receiving a package from the county. Now, do you receive the package from the CUP application, or is it after we get our building application?
We usually get it both times, on the conditional use, just as a review, but then when it actually hits the building permit, that's when we have to go through the full checklist, and sign off for, the Point Roberts Overlay District Code, for signage, for buffers, for trees, for lighting, and as well as the different plantings and stuff that are required for landscaping.
Okay,
All the landscaping requirements and stuff, we just kind of go through, just make sure that, yes, that they are on the plan.
okay. Good. I mean, just in general, we're keeping at the minimum the buffer required, and it'll probably be quite a bit more on most spots. So ideally, the only thing that maybe we'll see, except for maybe winter time when the leaves are down,
Yeah.
you might only ever see like the entrance and the office building and, you know, that parking lot. One interesting thing, the property across the street from Johnson, so south of Johnson, is also a part of that parcel.
Yeah.
Even though it's separated by Johnson Road. And I haven't actually talked to, you know, our consultant that we're using to help us go through the permitting process, but we will probably want a sign, because the road goes all the way to, the property goes all the way to Tyee Drive. We would like to have a sign probably at Tyee Drive.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's on the same property, so I'm not sure what that means, you know, from the community standpoint, if there's any issues that way or not.
Yeah, normally it's one sign, but it that's where it gets confusing. Because the overlay district code says you can have one freestanding sign for a business on a property, but you can also have a sign on a building. So that's where it might get a little, you know, in essence.
So if we end up putting our one sign down there, the sign at the entrance might have to be on the building.
Right, unless there's a variance for that, because yeah, that is odd, because yeah, that property does go all the way down there.
Yeah, it's kind of a strange stretch that
Yeah.
goes all the way down. Anyway, so that's something that we'll be discussing, and I'll be talking to our designer about that. You know, in the big picture, we're excited about the campground because it's going to give an opportunity for more people to spend a night in Point Roberts, with there not being any hotels and limited, you know, campsites and that, which hopefully will help the local businesses and, you know, that kind of thing. So.
Does anybody have any questions
Yeah, I
for
had a
Cash?
yeah, just a couple of quick questions again, just to understand what's going on. So how many spots would there be?
Because we have such a large piece of property, we could have a lot of spots, but we're really tied to the septic design system. Because the county has requirements that we could only have so many spots per, you know, this is how many gallons a day do you use? And so they've got regulations on the campsite uses 30 gallons a day. And so we're really limited to the septic design. We're going to our plan is to phase this in 2 phases. And the first one, we're hoping to get about 60 spots. And then phase 2, we'd have to build a separate septic system. And that could add maybe another 60 or 80. So in the big picture, we're hoping to maybe end up with 100. In fact, I think this plan actually says like 160.
Yeah.
But anyway, somewhere in that range anyway. And the idea is we'll phase it in depending on how successful, I guess, the project is. And
Yeah, that's great to know. The other question I had was, you know, in the past, we've discussed in this body kind of the lack of housing for temporary workers, you know, just help that might be seasonal or maybe even year round. So is the target audience like more tourists, or would this also be a part of maybe that, you know, solution to that problem?
well, our focus is to get a campground, and this will be tourists coming, short stays, you know, like up, I mean, I guess there's not anything specific, but maybe up to a month at a time. We don't want RVs parked there year round. You know, kind of like what we see at Sunny Point here, where you've got little decks and, you know, and little roof and little sheds on your property. This is going to be more tourists coming and going. Now, that said, once we get the campground up and running, we are looking at the possibility, because it is such a large piece of property, to potentially have permanent park model type sites. So then that would solve people either to rent or to, they could have their own on there. But that's not part of our initial phase. That would be a whole separate process.
Like a tiny home village?
Like a tiny home village. It's a perfect example. Because we do know that that is a very critical thing for Point Roberts, is finding places for people to stay. And it really boils down to the septic.
Mhm.
That's the biggest holdback. We've got the property, but it's all about the septic design
How much space?
and the space. Yeah.
Elizabeth, you have your hand raised? You have a question?
Yes, okay, hi. So
Hi.
so very interesting plan. So will you be competing with the campground, and how much will you charge a night?
The campground, the Whatcom County Parks will be our competition, because that's the type of crowd that we're attracting. To be honest with you, I really don't know what we're going to be charging.
Too early in the process?
Yeah, I haven't even, believe it or not, we haven't really looked at that, because as we're finding out, the cost for the septic systems are going to be very expensive. And I met with a paving company today, or a road building company, because we have to put this road in, and that's going to be very expensive. And just to get to the point now where we were able to make application has been a very expensive process and time. So obviously we're going to have to be competitive, but
Bennett?
Yeah, are you just gearing this to the, for RV camping, or we also gonna have tent spaces there?
tent spaces, there'll be mostly tent spaces.
Mostly tent spaces
Yeah.
too? Okay.
Now, the spaces that you create for tents, an RV,
Because
can
it's
stay there,
different.
but there won't be hookups.
Yeah.
It's dry camping.
Yeah.
So you're using almost like a KOA type model for this? Okay.
Yeah. And we have talked to a few of the big companies like KOA, but I don't know that, well, it's not important now, but KOA has very strict requirements. They want you to have a pool, they want you to have all this kind of stuff, and we're not planning on doing that.
Lee?
Yes, thank you. Of course, I have a whole list of questions. Who's got the septic system contract on this?
We have not given that out yet.
Okay, and as a community member, my fear would be that it would turn into a trailer park. If you didn't get the number of campers that you need as far as transient campers. So that would have to be safeguarded, I think, from our community point of view. And if you could write these down, because I'm just going to shoot off what my questions are. And I'm sure you're aware that probably, I'm guesstimating here 30 to 50 dogs that exercised on that property currently, and that they would be moved off, and we have more dogs than we could possibly take care of here that need to run, and they need to run freely. Do you think that it would be possible that you would possibly commit an area to the dog population of Point Roberts? Could you consider that? Okay, that's one thing. And how really does this benefit the community? You passed by that a little bit, and in that what I heard was you're bringing people down from businesses.
Well,
Yep.
I would say that we did used to have one, two,
Yeah. At least-
3 other campgrounds that no longer exist.
Yeah, the Cannery, Waylands, Bells Grove.
Bells Grove. And now we're finding on long weekends, I will say that a campground is needed, whether it be this one or another one. I have people who park on the side of Gulf Road or in the parking lot of the Reef and things because both of the campgrounds are full. And we don't have enough campground space anymore.
They can't get reservations for it.
Right, you can't get space, you can't get reservations. So, you know,
And just, I think, one of the questions you asked about a trailer park, personally, I would be totally against that. So as long as I'm in control of the project, that's not what we want, and that's not what I want for Point Roberts and whatever. So there's that. The dogs, I do know there's a lot of dogs that walk on the property. I don't know, I'm not sure how to answer that question right now. It's possible that when we're done, because we are going to have, there's existing trails on the property. I don't know if there's any reason why public couldn't walk on that property. I don't know. I mean, it would be a liability issue, and
yeah.
I don't know if there's any rules or
Well,
that way, but
I think she might be thinking like similar to up at Seabright, part of the conditional use permit was that trail for public access,
oh, I see. Yeah.
right? So, you know, if that would be something that might be possible at some point inside of it.
Yeah.
Under a
So that's
similar
something that we would
condition.
consider and we could talk about for sure.
Well, the thing is, it's unleashed. It's an unleashed area down at Seabright. And so currently, like I
But
said,
this would be leashed. No, we aren't talking about having a dog park, you know, for campers, because a lot of campers will have dogs.
Yeah,
We will have a fenced-in area.
well,
now
it might
whether-
be, it
I guess the
might
question
be,
would be, is that something that the public can go to or not? I'm not sure.
okay.
it might
But-
be a good developer's contribution to our community. So I'm just asking you to consider that. Thanks.
Okay.
I have one more question there. I know a lot of people, they can't see the maps that we have here, but I'm looking at your phase 2 and there are like 6 spots that are unusually large compared to the other spaces there and and I'm talking these spots up here, right there,
Oh,
Oh, the angled spots?
the angle.
these ones here.
These ones there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're unusually large compared to all the others. Are those just for really humongous bus size,
Well,
larger?
not necessarily.
Are those what were you planning for those areas? Because they are really unusually large compared to everything else you have on the.
Right. No, there isn't anything specific for that, but these spots were drive-through. So people,
drive-through.
if you're pulling a trailer
Got it.
and you can't back up or whatever, so you could pull. You
can
pull
pull
into your
directly
spot
in.
and then you could drive out.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, you know, when you look at this plan, and I know the people online can't see it, everything looks pretty structured and rigid. You know, those sites are going to be intermingled between trees and whatever. So
Are you just gonna have the one entrance or is?
just one entrance, and the fire department wants an exit. And so you can see
Okay.
coming off the mill,
Got
that's
it.
going to be kind of a gated exit for a fire truck to be able to go out of if necessary, but it's not going to be an entrance.
Well, like you said, this is fluid, correct?
And this is very, very fluid. I mean, this is just to go through, you know, the process.
Because some camp spots do have big ones like
Oh, I
that,
see
and
it.
they're
Oh, I
and
see.
for like family
Yeah. So
ones.
yeah.
Where you can have like, there's multiple spots that are around kind of a little area that's, you know, for large family gatherings and stuff. But- Oh, no, I think this is great. Thank you, Lauren, and,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
do you know when your conditional use,
Yeah, the application is in.
yeah.
I know
they
the
have to say
county is
you
going
have
to
to
be
be-
putting a sign on the property sometime in the next week or two.
To say when the hearing examiners
And
is.
yeah, and this is one reason I wanted to come here. I want to make sure we're kind of
Yeah.
on top of it because the county takes a long time to go through the process.
You know
And
that.
so I didn't want there to be any delays.
Government never works.
We would
quickly.
really like to be open for next summer, but it's going to be a huge challenge because the county has another 3 months before they have to respond.
You doing gravel roads in there, or are you doing paved?
Well, it's all going to be a matter of, obviously, the entrance and where the little camp store and the office, that'll be paved. Whether we pave all the way in, it's just going to be boiled down to cost. So
I just want to say, like, personally, I'm happy that there's investment in Point Roberts. You know, for a long time, we've struggled with even maintaining the businesses we have, let alone having new investment. So I'm happy to see new investment.
thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lord.
Take care.
Lauren,
Happy birthday to your wife.
Oh, yes. I got a bunch of people in our house.
Lauren, wait, before you go. Just,
Okay.
not that I have any say or pull in this community, but I am so happy that you brought this to PRCAC. And it's pretty hard not to see how wonderful it will be for our community. And the fact that you brought it forward to us is says a lot. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna be a neighbor to the projects.
Oh, really? You'll be getting
Well,
that.
I live on Seymour, which is part of the.
Oh, yes, right. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. So now we're at our first public comment. Does anyone have anything that they would like to bring up, discuss, or have put on further agendas?
Yes, I'm really interested in the stormwater situation because I'm dealing yet with another problem on Moosehead Trail and development. And was hoping the county would be putting moratoriums until some of the mitigation was done there. So I'm very anxious to hear about that. Thank you.
Okay. So now we go to correspondence. The only correspondence I think was just the verification of our meeting change.
That's correct. Yeah,
date
go ahead, you got it.
for July. We're just moving a week so that everyone can attend the taxpayers AGM. Broadband updates for Cash. Do you have anything new on broadband?
Not a whole lot. I did exchange some email with Atul Deshpande from the Whatcom PUD. He sent an email asking how the previous meeting, our last meeting went, which Andrew attended from PUD. So I gave him a summary of what was discussed, covering the Whitby-Tell project, the Whatcom PUD project, and the Delta cable issue that we have. And basically what I told him is like, the meeting was good, but we have work to do on all three of those. Obviously, Whitby is stuck behind the archaeological issue. Maybe the Whatcom PUD project will have the similar issue. And then Elizabeth can talk more to the Delta cable issue. Atul replied saying he would follow up on the Whatcom PUD project, the fiber project, and try to understand more on what goes above ground, what goes below ground. That was about a week ago. I have not followed up yet on see what follow up is.
Yeah, I had about an hour-long Zoom meeting with Andrew as we went through the different areas for concerns of cultural resources and such. And he said he had reached out to archaeological firms, but it looks to me from his proposal that they are putting their best foot forward towards the tribes of non-disturbance based on the areas that they're looking at. So
okay.
That was positive. He actually took the advice and actually said, hey, yeah, because Whitby-Tell, as far as I know, is still on hold. The archaeologists were out there the other day and I heard the word lockbox, which is never a good thing to hear.
What does that mean?
When the archaeologists have to have a lockbox on site, that means they actually found something. So who knows how long the would-be tell is gonna be on hold for. Elizabeth, do you have an update on the abandoned cable infrastructure?
Yes, I do, and it's very positive. So Elizabeth Kosa, the Director of Public Works, wrote an email to Stackpole and me, and she wrote, and I'll read it to you. I have an update on this matter for you. The previous provider, Eastlink's franchise agreement, but we, can you hear me?
We can't hear you, Elizabeth.
You
There's a
can't
lot of disturbance on the line. I'm not sure where it's coming
hear
from.
me? Okay, there's a lot of disturbance. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay.
everybody's muted, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay, so she said that Eastlink, their franchise agreement required them to remove the infrastructure when they left Point Roberts. Clearly, this didn't happen. So they are proceeding with a three-step strategy. One, sending a certified letter to Eastlink from Public Works, requesting the removal of their facilities and notifying them of their non-compliance with the agreement. If this doesn't yield a positive outcome, step 2 is proceed with the prosecutor's office to pursue the insurance of a demand letter. Excuse me, and if that yields nothing, finally, we'll consider the next steps, i.e. pursuing legal action. So it's underway, and I did follow up with Elizabeth, and they haven't written the certified letter yet, but when they do, they'll be sending me a copy. So the wheels are finally turning, you know, it will take time, but, you know, hopefully we'll get all the cables removed.
Okay, can you forward that correspondence to the rest of the board?
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, you're new, so yeah, usually whenever any of us have a project, like PRCAC will send us all of the correspondence, they'll forward it to us, just so everybody, you know, it's just that way, in case something, you know, one of us gets sick or can't show up to, you know, somebody else can follow through for the time being.
No worries, I can do that.
Thank you.
Any questions on that? That's all I
I think
have.
that's lovely.
No,
Good job.
I think we have the right person on the job. That's what
Yep.
Well, I have Paul to thank because I bugged him. I said, you said to come and you know, to ask for help. So here I am. So he certainly got the wheels turning, and I'm grateful for that. Okay.
No, that's great. So the next is Walking Transportation Authority, the Circle of Care Memorandum of Understanding. We don't have a Nell here, so I don't have anything for that. The next would be the drainage study update. You want me to take that one?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay, so Brian and I had a quick meeting with Whatcom County Public Works. The project is taking a little bit longer than expected. Of course, running into finding different areas of concern. We are looking at the end of August. I have a couple of hold dates right now for the community center, for Whatcom County Public Works as well as PRCAC to come and update the community. And at that point, they'll have published their phase 1 findings. So hopefully we will be able to announce that in the next month. We asked them for 30 days. The latest will be the very beginning of September. So they're working hard, and we saw a little bit of the preliminary, and I was impressed.
Right, yeah, it looked very good from Tetra Tech, from my experience. Anytime you can get something new to Allison, and she said there was stuff on her own street that she didn't know about, so
Yeah,
that's a good sign.
yeah, they're being very thorough. That's what I would say is, you know, I live on a dead end road. I didn't know there was an issue on my road. They found an issue on my road. So they're being very thorough when they said they were gonna go up and down every road in Point Roberts. I believe they actually went up and down every road in Point Roberts. So the fact that it's taking a little bit longer, I'd rather it take a little bit longer and be thorough. So hopefully we'll have a meeting on that the end of August.
Right.
Transportation Benefit District, County Council opinion update. Again, that was Public Works along with our Whatcom County Council member. They were going to try and send it to the attorney for the council to see if they could get a better opinion than the non-opinion than we received from the executives council. So hopefully, again, they will be coming to our July meeting. Councilman John Scanlon and Whatcom County Public Works.
This is for if we need a new vote?
Pardon?
Is this for if we need a new vote? Is that?
Their opinion so far is that we don't, but it's being sent again to the council's attorneys for an opinion, seems we got a non-opinion from the executive's attorney. So they feel it's fine so far, but we're still trying to get an actual attorney to say that it's fine. That we don't have to, redo the vote.
Yeah. Is there a deadline for when that needs to be on the ballot? If
it wouldn't be able to be a ballot measure till next year. Unless we wanted to do it as a special, right? So anything for November already needed to go in by now.
Oh,
For
okay.
the November ballot. All of those have expired for the November ballot. So we could do the special election, which is in February. But usually that's not a good idea because you need a certain percentage of the previous year's voters to actually vote on it. And a lot of people don't vote in that particular one. So it would be a ballot measure for 2025 November, if we did need it. To be able to use it for other uses. The PRCAC interested party email list, Library of Correspondence opportunity. That was Jared.
Yes. So I talked to Billy Sue, who talks to the lawyers, and so the first use case is that we would have a mailing list that could store the correspondence between the members. But the problem is not so much storing the correspondence, as the fact that members cannot have a discussion outside of meetings. So via email or any other form, unless it's inside a meeting, discussing business. So that doesn't really address anything. So it's kind of not relevant to talk about having such a list. I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments on that. Not that I'm a lawyer.
So yeah, I can sit and talk to Brian about something.
Mm-hmm.
I can sit and talk to Brian and PRCAC about something. I can't sit with Brian, PRCAC, and you about something because at 4 we become a quorum, and that requires it to be a discussion in an open meeting.
Correct. And that doesn't matter if you're sitting next to them or they're on an email mailing list.
If we're on email, if we're on a phone call, anything in any shape, manner, or form.
And CCing it to some mailing list that everybody can see does not resolve the issue because it is not a publicly announced in advance public meeting that people can attend. So it doesn't resolve that issue.
Yeah, we're not allowed to have discussions, but we can forward emails to each other, such as I get an email from Public Works. I can forward it to all of the members to say, hey, here, this is the information that just came in. Can we start discussing the information that just came in? No, but we can send out the information to each other.
So it's useful. We could also CC some mailing lists, so that's also publicly accessible. But I don't know how useful that would be. All of the actual discussions will happen in the meeting.
Well, I think from my point of view, it would be useful, not so much necessarily for us, but for the public. Because like even in this meeting, we've talked about correspondence from the PUD or from other places. I can forward those mails, or whoever the member is can forward that to the rest of us, but for the
Yes.
public, there's no place to go and look that up unless there's like a request for, records.
So if we think that's useful, according to the legal analysis that I have gotten, he's saying there's no problem with storing that. We just cannot have discussions or interactions.
Yeah, I think that part is a separate issue that we should be aware of and should be compliant with regardless.
Yes. So that's the first use case. And so if everybody's in agreement, I am happy to set that up, and we can set up a process whereby Mrs. Prakash just forwarded a wonderful email chain. We could just CC PRCAC at googlegroups.com and have that archived and available.
I used to bind CC to all the members of the park board, and that way if they were responding to me, it would just be one-on-one. That way you get around the group discussion.
Yes. So that is a danger that somebody could accidentally reply to PRCAC.
Actually, having a way to explicitly put something into the record, to me, it would help avoid sending mail to everybody, right? I could just send it to this one, storage alias, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
Because my intent is not to really have a discussion. My intent is just to put things on the record.
Yeah. So, could we make it? I mean, we can certainly. I have to think of a clever way to make it impossible to reply to it, so it doesn't have to actually start a discussion.
Is there a way, so like Prakash was able to send like the state of Point Roberts to Whatcom County. Whatcom County was able to have like a link to just the document.
Yeah.
And we've done that with other documents. Is there a way to have a document drop?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So then we're actually just dropping documents in a sense of, you can turn anything into a PDF at this point in our lives, to be able to do a document drop, and they could be sorted by month or, I don't know, by category or whatever. So if somebody wanted to go look something up, I don't know how difficult that is. I'm not that technical.
I mean, given that most of the things that we have are email threads, the most convenient and useful and overall comprehensive solution is a mailing list. But I have to investigate and see if I can find a way so that it's essentially impossible or difficult to reply to it and have a conversation.
Yeah, and also so that people don't, and I don't want them to reply to it, because then who's gonna check that email address or whatever? Or also incessing that nobody else can see it, other people's emails, and I don't want it to be like some kind of chat room.
Right.
Issue.
It's easy to make it impossible so that only PRCAC members can post to that list. So if somebody else responds to it, it just gets rejected. Which I don't know if that in of itself will make people upset, but it would then go to all the PRCAC members.
Or is there a way for us to say that one person's going to be in control of that, and as we get emails in, we send them to you, and then you post them to the board, this messaging board or however you want to call it, so that people can see them, but nobody can respond to it. Anybody can see it, but then you have, the control over, we send it to you, you post it, and make sure that it's protected.
That's an idea. There are mechanisms like moderation so that if somebody replies to it, nothing happens until somebody clicks on it and says okay. Even if supposed to be allowed to post. So I think that's the right answer. Somebody's the moderator, and if somebody starts having a discussion, it's their job to say, sorry, canceled. And then nobody will see it.
In fact, I would say that should be the default.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So that's the first.
Dig into this some more, Jared. I think it's great.
Okay, great. Okay, I will set it up and make it that way so that I volunteer to be the moderator first, and maybe we'll rotate or something.
I was going to nominate you, so I'm glad you volunteered.
We'll figure it out and announce it at the next meeting exactly what to do.
Perfect. And then, yeah, and then just also we can all make sure that we are ensuring that we're forwarding the correspondence to you, as we should be to everybody, just so that nothing gets missed, and that way people can see what's going on.
Cool. There is one other possible, we could second on this for different reasons, which is, for instance, announcing when the meeting was to happen. Now maybe we can use the first mailing list to do that same thing. We have a second mailing list. Everybody only wanted to hear the announcements of when something was going to happen. Like, so that hour before the meeting, we can send it, we can post the link, etc. There are other. That was the original complaint, is that somebody an hour before the meeting or 5 minutes before the meeting posted on Nextdoor, and we didn't see it for 2 days. Maybe we'll just do the first mailing list. We can talk about that later.
Okay, so next is public participation plan and population and growth projections in 2025.
That's correct.
That's you.
Yes. On Thursday, May 9th, the Planning Commission for the county did a public outreach and population projection hearing, and mentioned that there would be public access meetings on June 1st and 2nd. Now, they, of course, were not done here. So we reminded them of our January 31st scoping of their EIS comments for the project being the 2025 comprehensive plan update, land use designations, and all of that. It's basically all we did, we being me in this case, was remind them of what we've asked for them to do in January. I think the major point of that was that there needs to be a comprehensive understanding of the infrastructure amendments that will be required here, whether the county does anything or not with their comprehensive plan, and that it behooved the county to reflect the existing land use via change, putting the correct zoning in place, rather than what apparently has been done, which is they've crafted language that put off the necessity of such analysis to later dates. Anyway, we asked that all of this be minimally reflected in their update and placed on the county's schedule to correct. And that's pretty much what we did. And that letter was copied to all the members.
Comprehensive plan comments to county, is that all part and parcel? Okay. West Shore Terminal coal dust follow-up. I did contact, and supposedly the sprinklers are working. Depending on which way the wind blows, I guess there's going to be a meeting through Delta about the port. But they insist that everything's working and everything's fine. I have noticed, actually, since our last meeting, it actually has been fine. So it could be one of those things that, it wasn't until everybody complained and then, things are working again. So, I think it's just something that we have to just keep our eye on and, the making noise works. I think it might be, the phone rings too many times. Okay, so new business.
There were two items that were added, to the agenda. The group was asked to put enforcement of existing traffic laws, as well as the issue with dogs crossing the border and having to have proved rabies shots and that they're microchipped. However, the member that requested this is not here.
Okay. So as far as the rabies vaccination, I just did actually have a meeting. I was part of the ad hoc border committee meeting with the port director, and they still don't have, as a port of entry, exact information from the CDC currently. From everything, I'm still working with Sean. I actually have a meeting with him tomorrow, with Congressman Larson's office. Because him and I already had a long discussion to see if we could possibly do a memorandum of understanding for Point Roberts for this, similar that we have with the USDA for firewood. Port director said if we have a memorandum of understanding for this, they would of course 100% accept it. But again, they don't know yet if the rabbit holes that I've gone down is that you have to have all your documentation showing that your animal is microchipped, that they have a rabies vaccine. You have to go on the CDC website. You have to fill out all of the paperwork, basically create a username and login. The joke has been it's Arrive Can for dogs. And then you can then cross the border because you all of your information's been in. The question that they're having right now is, currently it says that CDC registration is only good for one trip across the border. And that's kind of where we're getting at with, that's going to be very difficult. We have two borders to cross, you've got to take your dog to the vet. Can you get into Blaine? Or, coming back from Blaine, you got to get back into Point Roberts. He's very, very nice, Jimmy Smith. He's, that they do have some lenience, so if I was coming home with my dog Coda from the vet and I can't get my phone to work to pull up my CDC documents, but I have her paperwork from the vet that says, Coda, this is her microchip number. She has a rabies vaccine. You're not going to tell me I can't come home, right? There is, it's not going to be, but everybody does have to have their dog microchipped and vaccinated. He's like, we're not going to have a scanner to check microchips, but you have to have the piece of paper that says your dog does have a microchip. So I'm going to try and work with Sean tomorrow again with, hopefully getting a memorandum of understanding to assist those people who are in Point Roberts for the Point Roberts border for crossing, that if you've filed your CDC paperwork once and you have it, and you have your paperwork from your vet showing your dog is microchipped and vaccinated, that should be good enough to come across the border with your animal.
Yeah.
So cross your fingers.
When does this go into effect?
The CDC, the app is supposed to go out, be live on July 15th for people to start filling out their paperwork for transporting their dog across the border. And it is supposed to go into effect August the 1st for entering the US, that you have to have your CDC paperwork and your dog microchipped and vaccinated.
And this is only going into the US, not going.
Yeah, only going into the US. But as you can imagine, somebody who wants to go to Bellingham with their dog, you have to have, can you imagine how painful? Yeah, you have to have paperwork to go to Bellingham to say, I have my family dog. And then on the way home, you gotta have paperwork to come back into Point Roberts to say, hey, I have my family dog. And that's where the Customs and Border Protection is trying to get more information from the CDC of how strict are we being with this? You know, if somebody has paperwork for their animal that shows that they're microchipped and they're vaccinated, and this is their dog, and it's their dog for 10 years, you know, this isn't an importation of a newly rescued animal or something to that effect to prevent rabies infections. So they're trying to get more details too, because they're a little kerfuffled, as well as, you know, how deep do we have to dive into something like this?
I have a question.
Yes.
I don't know how big of a demand there would be, but and I know from personal experience how hard it is to get a vet up here, because I was trying to get one during COVID for the community, but it might seem, if there's a large enough demand, it might seem like it would be a good idea to have a community vaccination and tagging program, like like we would get the COVID shots for a day, get all the dogs treated so they can be registered, so they can go back and forth across the board.
The large animal vet does come here, but everyone who I know, their dogs are obviously, they've got rabies vaccines.
Yeah.
And
a lot of them don't have the tags. So
everybody, their dogs are microchipped. You know, I've met, out of all the people I've talked to, one person didn't have their dog didn't have a microchip.
Yeah, I just don't know what the demand is for something.
You know, but I use Tawasin Vet, so, you know, it's not very difficult to have done. Lee, you have a question?
Isn't this subject part of taxpayers rather than PRAC?
It's both.
Yeah.
Okay, so when.
Because if I'm gonna try and work on a memorandum of understanding, it would have to be signed off by Whatcom County.
I see, thank you. And I was slightly disappointed with the amount of energy being put into the drainage issue on Point Roberts. I will, if you don't mind,
So-
I would like to
Lee, I just wanted to make you understand me. They are doing the initial report we got, which is not a complete report because they are still doing it. Currently is 65 pages long. They are doing the work. Like it is, like I said, they're now getting to the point of where they need to start doing, because part of the report is cost analysis.
right.
So they have to find all of the issues, and then they separate the issues into, you know, 3 different categories. One category is small stuff that the county can do themselves, and it has to fall between a certain dollar amount. And then there's small projects, which the county would either do themselves or put out for bid, that fall between X dollar and X dollar. And then there's major capital projects that have to be done that fall between this dollar and this dollar. So now that they've got all of the different spots, kind of, we know what's wrong. Now they have to go and do all of the math to figure out what the cost analysis is for each section, so that when they give it to us and as the community to then and work with Public Works to figure out where the money's coming from and what projects need to be done first, because they also do that. They put them in priority sequence of what's going to cause the most damage if we don't fix it. And like I said, it was at 65 or 67 pages. I don't remember, but it was a lot of reading, and they're not done yet. So it's not that they're not doing the work. Trust me, they've been doing the work. They're just not done yet.
I appreciate that, and thank you for spelling it out in that way. My concern is that planning is going ahead and giving out building permits without looking at these drainage issues. And so now we're being forced to go to the courts. So I don't mind talking to you outside of this because it could possibly be in your realm of expertise, and not in the PRAC envelope.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, let's,
No problem.
okay.
Okay, get off my phone. Okay, so new business is done. Does anyone else have a comment, question, concern that they would like to bring up for our next meeting, which will be now changed to July 25th? Okay, seeing none, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, ayes have it. Thank you everyone for coming. And we will see you in 5 weeks. Please feel free to join the taxpayers meeting in 4 weeks.
Cool, see you.
Thank you.
It's one of the